The alarm bells screamed across the mining station on Kepler 442b. Commander Kim Woo-bin ran through the metal corridors as explosions shook the ground beneath his feet. Outside the thick windows, he could see the massive alien ships floating in the dark sky like angry metal gods. "All civilians to the escape pods now!" Kim Woo-bin shouted into his radio. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. He had seen what the Galactic Dominion did to human colonies that fought back. They burned everything. The mining station was home to 3,000 people, families who had come here to dig rare metals from the planet's core, children who had never seen Earth, old people who remembered when humans first reached the stars. Now they all had to run or die. Dr. Yoon Ha-na was 600 light-years away on Mars when she got the news. She stood in the biggest construction bay humans had ever built. Above her head, something incredible was taking shape. The USS Blackstar looked like a knife made of midnight. It was 2 kilometers long and covered in armor that seemed to drink light. "Commander Kim's people made it out," said engineer Nam Jae-sung as he walked up to her. "But the Dominion glassed the whole planet. Nothing left but melted rock." Dr. Yoon Ha-na closed her eyes. Kepler 442b was the 15th human colony destroyed this year. The aliens were sending a message. Humans were supposed to mine their metals, grow their food, and stay quiet. When humans asked for equal treatment, the Dominion answered with fire. "How long until the Blackstar is ready?" she asked. 2 years if we're lucky," Nam Jae-sung said. "The quantum drive is the most complex thing we've ever built. One mistake and it could tear a hole in space itself." "We don't have 2 years," Dr. Yoon Ha-na said. She looked up at the ship again. "They're going to keep killing us until we're all gone or too scared to fight back." Far away in the Nexus Prime space station, the Galactic Dominion Council was meeting. The station was the size of a small moon and filled with the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire had ruled space for 1,000 years. Their ships were fast, and their weapons could crack planets. The Kalani Federation controlled the biggest armies. The Zathari Collective could read minds and see the future. Admiral Park So-jin was the only human allowed in the council chamber. She had worked for 20 years to earn her rank. She had fought in their wars and followed their orders. But as she listened to them talk about the human problem, she felt sick. "The mining colony was just the beginning," said Overlord Thexmore of the Vorthak Empire. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "These humans are getting ideas. They think they deserve the same rights as real civilizations." "Our psychics have seen something troubling," added Highmind Velnara of the Zathari Collective. Her words appeared directly in everyone's thoughts. "The humans are building something in their home system, something hidden, something dangerous." General Kardesh of the Kalani Federation slammed his fist on the table. "Then we burn their home system too. End this before it starts." Admiral Park. So-jin kept her face calm, but inside she was screaming. She thought about her parents back on Earth, her little brother who worked on the moon bases, all the humans who trusted the Dominion to protect them. "What kind of weapon could humans possibly build?" asked Overlord Thexmore. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." Highmind Velnara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her mental voice was worried. "That's what frightens us. Our psychics cannot see what they're building. There's something blocking our sight. That should be impossible." Captain Lee Tae-min was in the outer colonies when he got the secret message. He commanded a small patrol ship that protected human traders from pirates. The message was coded in an old Earth language that most aliens didn't know. When he decoded it, his blood went cold. The message was from Earth Command. Hidden spy ships had been watching the Dominion. Fleet movements. Something big was coming. The aliens were building planet-killer weapons, enough to destroy every human world at the same time. Lee Tae-min looked at his crew. They were good people, engineers and pilots who just wanted to do their jobs and go home to their families. How could he tell them that home might not exist much longer? Back on Mars, Dr. Yoon Ha-na was working 18 hours a day. The Blackstar was humanity's greatest secret. For 10 years, the best scientists and engineers had worked on this project. They had built it inside Jupiter's magnetic field where alien sensors couldn't see it. The ship looked normal from the outside, but inside it was pure magic. The quantum drive could do things that physics said were impossible. It could make the ship exist in 2 places at once. It could phase through solid matter like a ghost, Most importantly, it could hit enemies from angles that didn't exist. The bow. "Drive is ready for testing," said Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. He was a quiet man who spoke only when he had something important to say. "But we've never tried it on something this big before." "What's the worst that could happen?" asked Dr. Yoon Ha-na. "We could accidentally erase ourselves from reality," Ko Hyun-soo said. "Or create a black hole, or tear open a door to somewhere we don't want to go." Dr. Yoon Ha-na laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Well, if we don't try it, the Dominion is going to erase us anyway." Captain Oh Dong-wook was chosen to command the Blackstar. He was young for a ship captain, only 35 years old, but he had something the older captains didn't have. He could think in ways that made no sense to normal people. The quantum drive needed a captain who could understand impossible things. "Sir, the ship is ready for its first test," reported Commander Lim Soo-young. She was his second in command and the smartest tactical officer in the human fleet. Captain Oh Dong-wook sat in the captain's chair and looked at the screens around him. The bridge was dark except for the soft blue glow of the quantum field generators. Everything was quiet. Everything was waiting. "Take us to the test zone," he ordered. Navigator Bae Ji-hoon pressed the controls. The Blackstar moved forward slowly, at first. Then Captain Oh Dong-wook gave the order that would change everything. "Activate quantum drive." The ship vanished. For a moment, Captain Oh Dong-wook could see everything and nothing at the same time. The ship existed in normal space, and in quantum space, and in the space between spaces. He could feel the universe stretching around them like rubber. Then they were back. The asteroid they had been flying toward was now behind them. They had passed through solid rock like it was made of air. "That was incredible," whispered Commander Lim Soo-young. "That was terrifying," said Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. Captain Oh Dong-wook smiled. "That was exactly what we needed." 3 days later, the Dominion Council made their decision. Operation Cosmic Cleansing would begin in 1 month. Every human world would be destroyed on the same day. It would be quick and efficient. The galaxy would finally be peaceful. Admiral Park So-jin heard the order and felt her heart break. She had sworn an oath to serve the Dominion, but she had been born human. That night, she sent a coded message to Earth Command. 3 words that would start the most important war in galactic history. "They are coming." Dr. Yoon Ha-na got the message while she was calibrating the Blackstar's weapons. She looked up at the ship that was supposed to save humanity. It was beautiful and terrible, and probably not ready for what was coming. But ready or not, it was time to find out if humans could fight gods and win. Captain Choi Min-ho had been hunting space pirates for 3 years. His ship, the Stormcaller, was fast and well-armed. He knew every trick criminals use to hide in deep space. But this was different. This was impossible. "Sir, there's nothing." "Here," said his sensor officer. "The Eternal Dominance was patrolling this sector yesterday. Now it's just gone?" The Eternal Dominance was a Vorthak dreadnought, 3 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could crack moons. Ships like that didn't just disappear. They were too big, too powerful, too important. "Check the wreckage." "Field," Captain Choi Min-ho ordered. "That's just it, sir. There is no wreckage, no debris, no energy signatures. Nothing." Captain Choi Min-ho frowned. In his experience, when big ships died, they left big messes. Twisted metal floating in space. Radiation clouds. Something. But the space where the Eternal Dominance should be was completely empty. "Sir," said the communications officer, "I'm getting reports from other sectors. The Iron Fist is missing from the Centauri patrol route. The Death's Edge vanished from the outer rim. That's 12 ships in 3 days." The ship's Zathari navigator suddenly went rigid. Her large black eyes rolled back, and she started making a sound like screaming wind. "Veltar, what is it?" "Captain," Choi Min-ho asked. The Zathari could read the psychic echoes that ships left in space. If a crew died in fear or pain, she could feel it. But now she was shaking like a leaf in a storm. "There is nothing," she whispered. "Where thought should be, there is void. Where fear should echo, there is silence. Something took them that leaves. No trace in the mind space." Captain Choi Min-ho had never seen Veltar this scared. Zathari were psychic. They could see things that hadn't happened yet. If she was terrified, then something truly horrible was coming. On Mars, engineer Nam Jae-sung was working on the most complex machine ever built. The quantum displacement drive was the size of a city block and filled with equipment that hurt to look at. Crystals that existed in 17 dimensions. Computers that calculated using mathematics that hadn't been invented yet. "How's the power coupling coming?" asked Dr. Yoon Ha-na. "The good news is that it works," Nam Jae-sung said. "The bad news is that we don't really understand how or why." Dr. Yoon Ha-na walked around the massive drive core. Engineers were making final adjustments with tools that looked more like art than technology. Every piece had to be perfect. One small mistake, and the ship would tear itself apart when it tried to phase between dimensions. "The test runs are going well," Nam Jae-sung continued. "We can make small objects phase through solid matter. We can make them exist in multiple quantum states at once. But this ship weighs 2 million tons. The power requirements are insane." "Will it work when we need it to?" Dr. Yoon Ha-na asked. Nam Jae-sung was quiet for a moment. "Ask me again when. Someone's shooting at us." Intelligence Officer Song Yu-jin was very good at being invisible. She had spent 2 years working as a maintenance worker on Dominion listening posts. The aliens thought humans were too stupid to be spies. That mistake was about to cost them everything. The listening post was built inside an asteroid in the Vega system. Song Yu-jin cleaned the floors and emptied the waste recyclers while alien officers planned humanity's destruction. They never noticed the small recording devices she planted in their meeting rooms. Tonight, she had hit the jackpot. The post commander was holding a briefing about Operation Cosmic Cleansing. Song Yu-jin hid in the air ducts and listened to them. "Plan genocide. Phase 1 begins in 18 days, said the commander. "Planet killer weapons will target Earth, Mars, and the 3 largest colonies simultaneously." "What about the human fleet?" asked another officer. "Irrelevant. Their ships are antiques. Once their homeworlds are ash, the survivors will surrender or die." Song Yu-jin recorded every word. When the meeting ended, she slipped back to her quarters and sent the intelligence to Earth Command, using a quantum burst transmitter hidden in her cleaning supplies. The message was simple: 18 days. Captain Oh Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the Blackstar and watched the asteroid fields spinning slowly in space. Each rock was the size of a mountain. Some contained rare metals that human colonies needed. Others were just cold stone drifting in the dark. "Quantum drive is ready for full-scale testing," reported Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. "All stations report." "Ready," added Commander Lim Soo-young. Captain Oh Dong-wook took a deep breath. They had tested the drive on small objects and empty space. This would be the first time they tried to phase a 2-kilometer warship through solid matter. "Target that asteroid," he said, pointing at a rock the size of a city. "We're going to fly right through it." Navigator Bae Ji-hoon looked nervous. "Sir, if the phase field fails while we're inside solid rock, we'll be crushed instantly," Captain Oh Dong-wook finished. "I know, but if we can't do this, then the Blackstar is just another ship, and humanity needs more than just another ship." The quantum drive began to hum. The sound was like singing crystal, mixed with the whisper of wind through empty space. Reality started to bend around the ship. "Engaging quantum phase," said Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. The universe went strange. Captain Oh Dong-wook could see through the walls of his ship. He could see through the asteroid they were approaching. Everything was transparent and solid at the same time. The Blackstar existed in normal space and quantum space, and somewhere in between. They hit the asteroid at full speed. For a moment, Captain Oh Dong-wook thought they were dead. Rock and metal filled the view screen. Then they were through, flying out the other side like the asteroid was made of fog. "Phase drive operating normally," Ko Hyun-soo reported. His voice was shaky but proud. "That was impossible," whispered Commander Lim Soo-young. "That was beautiful," said Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. Captain Oh Dong-wook smiled. The Blackstar could do things that broke the laws of physics. Now they needed to find out if it could break the Galactic Dominion, too. Admiral Park So-jin was in her quarters when the emergency alert came through. Another Dominion ship had vanished. This time it was the Kalani battlecruiser Iron Vengeance. The crew of 800 simply gone. She looked at the reports coming in from across the galaxy. Dominion ships were disappearing faster now. Not destroyed, not captured, just gone, like they had never existed. The official explanation was equipment failures, warp drives malfunctioning and sending ships into dead space. But Admiral Park So-jin knew the truth. The humans were testing their secret weapon, and it was working better than anyone expected. She opened a secure communication channel to her contact in Earth Command. The message was short but important. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. They're starting to panic." Captain Lee Taemin was leading the evacuation of the outer colonies when he got word that the Blackstar was operational. His little patrol ship was packed with refugee families from 3 different mining stations. Parents held sleeping children while teenagers stared out the windows at the stars. "Captain, we're getting reports of Dominion fleet movements," said his communications officer. "Looks like they're moving planet killers into position." Lee Tae-min nodded. They had known this day would come. The Dominion had finally decided that humans were too dangerous to keep alive. Now it was a race between evacuation ships and genocide weapons. "How many more colonies to evacuate?" he asked. 17, sir. Maybe 20,000 people total. "And how long do we have?" "Unknown, sir. Could be days, could be hours." Lee Tae-min looked at the families crowded into his ship's cargo bay. Good people who had done nothing wrong except be born human. The Dominion wanted to kill them all just to make a point. "Signal the fleet," he said. "All ships increase speed. We're not leaving anyone behind." Dr. Yoon Ha-na was in the Blackstar's engine room when the final test results came through. The quantum drive was working perfectly, but there was a problem. Every time the ship phased through solid matter, it damaged the quantum matrix. The drive was burning itself out. "How many more jumps do we have?" she asked Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. "Maybe a dozen. Maybe 15 if we're careful." "That's not enough for a war." "I know, but it's what we have." Dr. Yoon Ha-na stared at the glowing heart of humanity's ultimate weapon. They had built something that could make them invisible, untouchable, unstoppable. But only for a few minutes of actual combat. "Can we fix it?" she asked. Ko Hyun-soo shook his head. "The quantum matrix is made from materials that don't exist in normal space. We can't replace them or repair them. Once they're gone, they're gone." Dr. Yoon Ha-na felt like crying. They had spent 10 years and all of humanity's resources building a weapon that would burn out after its first battle. "There might be a way," Ko Hyun-soo said quietly, "but you're not going to like it." "Tell me." "We need exotic matter from the core of a star. If we can get it, we can rebuild the quantum matrix stronger than before. But getting it means flying into a sun." Dr. Yoon Ha-na laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course it does." Captain Oh Dong-wook was reviewing tactical plans when the priority message came through. Operation Cosmic Cleansing was moving faster than expected. The Dominion planet killers were already in position around Earth and Mars. "Sir, we're getting word that the evacuation is behind schedule," reported Commander Lim Soo-young. "There are still civilians on the outer colonies." "How long do we have?" Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. "Unknown. Could be any time." The Apex Hunters were the Dominion's most feared unit. They had tracked down rebel fleets hiding in black holes. They had hunted rogue AI through dimensions that had no names. Now they were after something that had killed 12 dreadnoughts, without leaving a trace. Commander Thexvor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Void Stalker. He was Vorthak, which meant he was 8 feet tall and covered in armor that grew from his own bones. His species had been hunting dangerous prey for 1,000,000 years. "Report," he commanded. "The target vessel has struck again," said his tactical officer. The battleship Storm's End was found drifting near Proxima Station. Crew of 6,000, all dead. No weapons signatures detected. Admiral Karadesh, the Kalani representative, stepped forward. Her people were warriors, but even they respected the Apex Hunters. "How do you kill 6,000 soldiers without firing a shot?" "You don't," said Thexvor, "which means we're not hunting a normal ship." The third member of their team was High, Psychic Zalthara, a Zathari whose mind could see across star systems. She had been quiet since they started this hunt, which worried everyone. "What do your psychics tell you?" Thexvor asked her. "Nothing," Zalthara replied. "That's the problem. Where this ship goes, the mind space goes dark. It's like hunting a hole in reality itself." Captain Lee Taemin was loading the last refugee ship when the alarm came through. Dominion scouts had found the evacuation fleet. They had maybe an hour before the attack ships arrived. "How many people are still on world?" he asked Colonial Administrator Shin Ira. "About 300 families," she replied. "They're scattered across the mining settlements. We can't get them all in time." Lee Taemin looked at the refugee ship. It was built to carry cargo, not people. Families were packed into spaces meant for mining equipment. Children were crying. Parents were trying to stay calm while their world fell apart around them. "We'll get them," he said. "All of them." "Captain, the Dominion." "I don't care about the Dominion. I care about those families." Shin Aira smiled for the first time in days. "I'll get the evacuation teams moving." Meanwhile, Captain Oh Dong-wook was preparing for the Ghost campaign. The Blackstar hung in space near the edge of the Centauri system, invisible to normal sensors. Ahead of them, a Dominion battle group waited like metal vultures. "Enemy fleet composition?" he asked. 3 dreadnoughts, 8 heavy cruisers, and about 20 escort ships," reported Commander Lim Soo-young. "Enough firepower to level a planet." "Perfect," said Captain Oh Dong-wook. "Let's give them something to shoot at." Navigator Bae Ji-hoon activated the quantum drive. Reality bent around the Blackstar like water around a stone. The ship began to exist in multiple places at once. "Weapons ready," reported the tactical officer. "Take us in," Captain Oh Dong-wook ordered. The Blackstar appeared at the edge of the enemy formation like a ghost materializing from nothing. The Dominion ships opened fire immediately, their weapons lighting up space with deadly energy, but they were shooting at empty space. The Blackstar phased between dimensions just as the weapons fired. The energy beams passed through nothing while the human ship struck from impossible angles. The lead dreadnought, the Eternal Wrath, suddenly found holes blown through its armor from the inside. Its weapon systems exploded as the Blackstar's guns materialized just long enough to fire, then vanished again. "What kind of weapon is this?" screamed the enemy commander over the radio. Captain Oh Dong-wook didn't answer. The Blackstar struck. Again, this time crippling 2 heavy cruisers before disappearing back into quantum space. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the entire Dominion battle group was either destroyed or drifting helpless. The Blackstar hadn't taken a single hit. "Sir, we're getting communications from the survivors," said the communications officer. "They want to surrender." "Tell them to run," Captain Oh Dong-wook said. "And tell them to spread the word. Humanity is done being afraid." Dr. Yoon Ha-na was working on the quantum drive when the battle reports came in. The Blackstar had won, but the cost was terrible. The quantum matrix was burning out faster than expected. "How many jumps do we have left?" she asked Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. 8, maybe 9, he replied. "Each phase shift damages the matrix more." "That's not enough for a war." "I know, but the stellar dive option is still possible. If we can get exotic matter from a star's core, we can rebuild the entire system." Dr. Yoon Ha-na looked at the star charts. The nearest suitable star was Betelgeuse, a red giant that was dying slowly. Its core contained the exotic matter they needed, but getting it meant flying directly into temperatures that could melt planets. "What are the chances of survival?" she asked. "Honestly, about 12%. Those are terrible odds. Better than the odds of humanity surviving without the Blackstar." The Apex Hunters had set a trap in the Vega system. They had captured 300 human civilians from a cargo convoy and were using them as bait. The message was broadcast on all frequencies: "Surrender or watch innocents die." Captain Oh Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the Blackstar and listened to the transmission. Children were crying in the background. Parents were begging for their lives. "Sir, it's obviously a trap," said Commander Lim Soo-young. "I know," Captain Oh Dong-wook replied. "They have phase anchors," reported the sensor officer. "Devices that can lock us into normal space. If we go in there, we can't phase out." "I know that too. Sir, we can't risk the ship for 300 people. Humanity needs the Blackstar." Captain Oh Dong-wook was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the families on those ships. He thought about humanity's last hope. He thought about what it meant to be human. "Set course for Vega," he ordered. "Sir, we're going to save them. All of them." The Blackstar entered the Vega system at full speed. The Apex Hunters were waiting with their most advanced ships. The Void Stalker and 2 other hunter vessels formed a triangle around the captured humans. "Human vessel," "You will surrender immediately," came Thexvor's voice over the radio, "or we will execute the prisoners." "Let them go, and we'll talk," Captain Oh Dong-wook replied. "You're not in a position to make demands." Captain Oh Dong-wook activated the quantum drive. The Blackstar began to phase between dimensions, becoming a ghost that could strike from anywhere. But then the phase anchors activated. The ship was suddenly yanked back into normal space like a fish caught on a hook. Alarm screamed across the bridge as the quantum field collapsed. "We're locked in normal space," reported Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. "I can't phase us out." "Then we do this the hard way," Captain Oh Dong-wook said. The battle was brutal. The Blackstar was fast and well armed, but it was just one ship against 3 of the Dominion's best hunters. Without the phase drive, it had to fight like any normal vessel. The Void Stalker's weapons tore through the Blackstar's shields. Hull plates exploded into space. Emergency lights flashed red as damage reports flooded in. But Captain Oh Dong-wook had one advantage the hunters didn't expect. The Blackstar's weapons were designed to fire from quantum space. In normal space, they were incredibly powerful. The Blackstar's main gun fired once. The energy beam punched straight through the Void Stalker's armor and out the other side. The hunter ship began to drift, its engines dead. "Target the anchor ships," Captain Oh Dong-wook ordered. The second hunter vessel exploded in a ball of fire. The third tried to run, but the Blackstar was faster. Within minutes, all 3 Apex Hunter ships were destroyed. "Free the prisoners," Captain Oh Dong-wook commanded, but the victory came at a terrible cost. The Blackstar's quantum core was damaged. Smoke filled the engine room as Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo tried to save the drive system. "Sir, the quantum matrix is failing," he reported. "We have maybe 3 or 4 phase jumps left." "Will it hold together long enough to reach Betelgeuse?" Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. "Maybe. But sir, diving into a star with a damaged quantum drive is suicide." "I know." Captain Lee Taemin had successfully evacuated the outer colonies when the news came through. The Blackstar had saved the prisoners at Vega, but the ship was badly damaged. Worse, the Dominion now knew exactly how the phase drive worked. "They'll build countermeasures," Admiral Park So-jin said over the secure channel. "Phase anchors, quantum scramblers, reality locks. The Blackstar's advantage is gone." "How long do we have?" Lee Tae-min asked. "Days, maybe less." Operation Cosmic. Cleansing is moving into its final phase. They're going to glass every human world at once. Lee Taemin looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, his home planet Earth was spinning peacefully in space. Children were going to school. Parents were going to work. They had no idea that death was coming for them with the power of 1,000 suns. "What's our move?" he asked. "We pray that Captain Oh Dong-wook can work miracles," Admiral Park So-jin replied. On the bridge of the Blackstar, Captain Oh Dong-wook was staring at the star charts. Betelgeuse was marked in red, indicating extreme danger. No ship had ever flown into a star and survived. The temperatures at the core could melt anything humans had ever built. "Sir, we could try to repair the quantum drive here," suggested Commander Lim Soo-young. "Give us time to come up with another plan." "There is no other plan," Captain Oh Dong-wook replied. "Without exotic matter, the drive will burn out completely, and without the drive, humanity dies." He turned to face his crew. They were young and brave and scared. The rescue mission at Vega had saved 300 lives, but it had cost humanity its greatest advantage. Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo stood in the Blackstar's engine room, watching sparks fly from damaged quantum field generators. "The Matrix is completely unstable," he reported to Captain Oh Dong-wook. "We can't phase between dimensions anymore. The drive might hold together for one more jump, but that's it." Captain Oh Dong-wook nodded grimly. The Blackstar was trapped in normal space, just another ship with powerful guns. Without the quantum drive, they couldn't strike from impossible angles. They couldn't appear and disappear like ghosts. They were mortal now. "How long until the Dominion figures out how to build phase anchors for their entire fleet?" he asked. "They already have," said Commander Lim Soo-young, reading from the intelligence reports. "Admiral Park So-jin sent word from the Nexus Prime. They're mass-producing quantum scramblers. In a week, no human ship will be able to phase anywhere in the galaxy." Captain Oh Dong-wook walked to the main view screen and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Dominion fleet was preparing for genocide. Planet-killer weapons were charging their main guns. Humanity had days to live, maybe hours. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from Admiral Park So-jin," said the communications officer. The screen flickered and showed Admiral Park So-jin in her Dominion uniform. But Captain Oh Dong-wook could see the truth in her eyes. She was no longer serving the aliens who wanted to destroy her species. "Captain, I'm transmitting the complete Dominion fleet deployment," she said. "Operation Cosmic Cleansing begins in 72 hours. They're going to hit Earth, Mars, and 15 colonies simultaneously." "How many ships?" Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. 847 vessels, including 36 planet killers, the entire Dominion fleet." Captain Oh Dong-wook felt his heart sink. Even if the Blackstar was working perfectly, it couldn't fight that many ships. They needed a miracle, and miracles were in short supply. "There's something else," Admiral Park So-jin continued. "I've been analyzing the quantum readings from your drive system. I think I know how to repair it." Dr. Yoon Hana was the first to understand what Admiral Park So-jin was suggesting. They needed exotic matter from the core of a star. Not just any star, but one that was dying. The exotic matter only formed when a star began to collapse into itself. "Betelgeuse is perfect," Dr. Yoon Hana said, studying the star charts. "It's a red giant in the final stages of stellar death. The core should be rich with the exotic matter we need." "Should be," repeated Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. "But we won't know until we're already inside the star. And if we're wrong, we die horribly," finished Navigator Bae Ji-hoon, burned to atoms in temperatures that could melt planets. Dr. Yoon Ha-na looked at the calculations again. The numbers were not encouraging. Even with full shields and maximum armor, the Blackstar would only survive inside a star for about 4 minutes. They needed to reach the core, harvest the exotic matter, and escape before the ship melted around them. "What are our chances?" asked Captain Oh Dong-wook. 12%, Dr. Yoon Ha-na replied honestly. "Those are terrible odds." "Yes, but they're the only odds we have." Meanwhile, Captain Lee Tae-min was coordinating the last defense of human space. His patrol ship had been joined by every human vessel that could carry weapons, cargo haulers with mining lasers, colony ships with defensive turrets, even civilian yachts with hunting rifles strapped to their hulls. "Sir, the Dominion advance. Fleet has entered the outer system," reported his tactical officer. 12 dreadnoughts and escort vessels." Captain Lee Tae-min looked at his ragtag fleet. 43 ships of various sizes and conditions. Most of their crews were volunteers who had never been in a real battle. They were facing the most advanced military force in the galaxy. "All ships, this is Captain Lee Tae-min," he said over the fleet communication channel. "We're not going to win this fight, but we're going to make them pay for every inch of space they take. Today, we show the galaxy that humans don't go quietly into the night." The first battle lasted 18 minutes. The human fleet fought with desperate courage, but they were outgunned and outnumbered. Ship after ship was torn apart by alien weapons. Captain Lee Tae-min watched his friends die while trying to buy time for the civilians behind them. When it was over, only 7 human ships remained. The Dominion fleet barely had a scratch. "Fall back to the second line," Captain Lee Tae-min ordered. His own ship was leaking air and running on emergency power, but it could still fight. Admiral Park So-jin knew her time was running out. She had been feeding intelligence to the human resistance for months, and Dominion security was starting to notice. Soon, they would discover her betrayal, and then she would face execution for treason. But before that happened, she had one more mission. The Dominion command codes were kept in a secure vault on Nexus Prime. If she could steal them, human ships might be able to confuse enemy sensors long enough to evacuate more civilians. She walked through the station's corridors like she belonged there, which she did. She had earned her admiral's rank through 20 years of faithful service. Now she was going to use that trust to stab the Dominion in the back. The vault was protected by quantum locks and psychic barriers. But Admiral Park So-jin had studied those defenses for years. She knew their weaknesses. "Admiral, what are you doing here?" asked the Zathari guard as she approached the vault. "Routine inspection," Admiral Park So-jin replied calmly. "Central Command wants to verify the security protocols." The lie worked. The guard stepped aside and Admiral Park So-jin entered the vault. Inside were data crystals containing every military secret the Dominion possessed. Fleet movements, weapon, specifications, command codes, and something else, the complete plans for Operation Cosmic Cleansing. She copied everything to a portable drive, but as she was leaving, alarms began to sound. Security sensors had detected the unauthorized data transfer. "Lockdown! Lockdown!" echoed through the station. Admiral Park So-jin ran for her ship, but Dominion security forces were already moving to intercept her. She had maybe 10 minutes before. They caught her. She reached her personal cruiser and began the startup sequence. As the ship lifted off, she transmitted everything to Earth Command on a quantum burst channel. "This is Admiral Park So-jin," she said into the recorder. "I'm sending you the complete Dominion military database. Use it well, and tell my family that I died fighting for humanity." Dominion fighters swarmed her ship as she tried to escape. Weapons fire lit up space around her cruiser. She managed to destroy 3 enemy fighters before her shields failed. The last thing Admiral Park So-jin saw was a plasma torpedo heading straight for her bridge. On Earth, the quantum burst transmission was received by Dr. Yoon Ha-na. She decoded the files and felt her blood run cold. Operation Cosmic Cleansing was even worse than they had imagined. The Dominion wasn't just planning to destroy human worlds. They were going to sterilize every planet humans had ever touched, making sure that nothing of humanity survived. "They're not just committing genocide," she told Captain Oh Dong-wook over the secure channel. "They're trying to erase us from history itself." "Then we better make sure history remembers," Captain Oh Dong-wook replied. The Blackstar began its approach to Betelgeuse. The red giant star filled the view screen like an ocean of fire. Solar flares erupted from its surface, each one larger than Jupiter. The temperature readings were climbing steadily as they got closer. "Hull temperature rising," reported Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. "We're still 8 million kilometers out, and the outer hull is already starting to warm up." "Shields to maximum," ordered Captain Oh Dong-wook. "All non-essential systems offline. Divert everything to life support and structural integrity." Navigator Bae Ji-hoon was studying the star's internal structure with every sensor they had. "Sir, the exotic matter is definitely there. I'm reading massive deposits in the core region, but the magnetic field is incredible. It's like flying into a magnetic hurricane." "Can we navigate through it?" Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. "I think so. But if I'm wrong, we'll be torn apart before we ever reach the core." Commander Lim Soo-young was monitoring the ship's systems as they prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. "Sir, the crew is asking if you want to address them before we begin the stellar dive." Captain Oh Dong-wook activated the ship-wide communication system. Throughout the Blackstar, 237 men and women stopped what they were doing to listen. "In a few hours, we're going to fly this ship into the heart of a dying star," he said. "The chances of survival are terrible. If anyone wants to transfer to the escape pods, you can do so now, with no shame." He paused, looking around at his bridge crew. None of them moved. "But if you stay, you'll be part of something that no human has ever attempted. We're going to steal fire from the gods themselves. We're going to take the power that makes stars burn and use it to save our species." Throughout the ship, not a single person moved toward the escape pods. "Then let's go make the universe remember that humans were here," Captain Oh Dong-wook said. The Blackstar accelerated toward Betelgeuse. Behind them, the Dominion fleet was moving into position around Earth. Ahead of them lay temperatures that could melt planets and pressures that could crush atoms. They were about to find out if the Blackstar entered the outer layers of Betelgeuse like a needle pushing through molten metal. The view screen showed nothing but fire stretching in every direction. Solar flares erupted around them, each one carrying more energy than humanity had ever produced. "Hull temperature rising rapidly," reported Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. His voice was steady, but sweat was running down his face. "Outer armor is holding, but we're still in the cool part of the star." Captain Oh Dong-wook watched the temperature readings climb. They were already hot enough to melt steel, and they hadn't even reached the middle layers yet. The core was still millions of kilometers below them. "How long until we reach the exotic?" "Matter deposits?" he asked. Navigator Bae Ji-hoon checked his instruments. Half of them were already failing from the heat and radiation. "At current speed, about 3 hours. But, sir, the ship won't last that long." "Then we go faster. Sir, if we increase speed, the hull stress will tear us apart. I know. But if we go slow, we cook. Pick your poison. The Blackstar accelerated deeper into the star. Around them, the stellar material grew denser and hotter. The ship's shields were working overtime, deflecting solar plasma that could have powered entire planets. Commander Lim Soo-young was monitoring the ship's systems when the first major failure occurred. Sir, we've lost the forward sensor array. The heat melted the primary processors. Switch to backup sensors, Captain Oh Dong-wook ordered. Sir, the backup sensors melted 5 minutes ago. Captain Oh Dong-wook nodded grimly. They were flying. Blind through the heart of a star, navigating by instruments that were failing one by one. If they missed the exotic matter deposits, they would die for nothing. Dr. Yoon Ha-na was in the engine room, working frantically to prepare the quantum matrix for reconstruction. The exotic matter they were seeking didn't exist in normal space. It was created by the incredible pressures and temperatures at a star's core, where atoms were crushed into forms that shouldn't be possible. The collection system is ready, she reported, but we'll only have one chance. The exotic matter is unstable. If we don't capture it perfectly, it'll decay back into normal matter in seconds. How much do we need? Asked Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo. About 10 kilograms. Doesn't sound like much, but 10 kilograms of exotic matter has more energy than a small star. Ko Hyun-soo whistled softly. And we're going to put that in our engine? If we want to save humanity, yes. Meanwhile, back in normal space, the Dominion fleet was moving into position around Earth. Captain Lee Tae-min's makeshift defense force was already battered from 3 previous battles. His patrol ship was held together by emergency patches and prayer. Sir, we're getting reports from the inner system, said his communications officer. The planet killers are powering up their main weapons. Captain Lee Tae-min looked at Earth through his damaged view screen. The blue marble hung in space like a precious jewel, unaware that death was approaching. 3 billion humans lived on that world. They were going to die unless the Blackstar could work a miracle. All ships, prepare for final attack run, he ordered. We're going to hit those planet killers with everything we have. Sir, our weapons can't penetrate their shields, his tactical officer pointed out. Then we ram them. 1 ship, 1 planet killer. Make them count. Deep inside Betelgeuse, the Blackstar was dying. The hull was glowing red-hot despite the best EV shields human science could build. Sections of the outer armor were beginning to melt and peel away like skin from a burn victim. We've lost life support on decks 7 through 12, reported Commander Lim Soo-young. Emergency evacuation is complete, but we're running out of safe areas. Internal temperature? Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. 60 degrees Celsius and climbing. The cooling systems can't keep up. Captain Oh Dong-wook wiped sweat from his forehead. The bridge felt like the inside of an oven. Throughout the ship, the crew was working in conditions that would have been lethal on any normal day. Sir, I'm detecting something ahead, said Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. The exotic matter signatures are getting stronger. How much further? Maybe an hour. But, sir, the ship will hold together because it has to. As they descended deeper into the star, something impossible began to happen. The exotic matter wasn't just scattered randomly through the stellar core. It was organized, structured, almost like it was alive. Dr. Yoon Ha-na was the first to notice the pattern. These readings don't make sense, she said, studying the scanner data. Exotic matter should be chaotic, random, but this has structure, intelligence. Navigator Bae Ji-hoon suddenly went rigid at his station. His eyes rolled back and he started speaking in a voice that wasn't his own. Who disturbs the ancient sleep? The words seemed to come from somewhere far away. Bae Ji-hoon, Captain Oh Dong-wook called out. Can you hear me? But the navigator was no longer present. Something else was speaking through him, something vast and old and tired. So long since new voices came to the deep places. What brings the small ones to the heart of fire? Dr. Yoon Ha-na understood first. You're the exotic matter, aren't you? You're alive. Alive is a small word. We are the dreams of dying stars. We have watched galaxies birth and die. We have seen the universe, grow cold, and begin again. Captain Oh Dong-wook stepped forward. His ship was melting around him, his crew was dying from heat exhaustion, and humanity was about to be destroyed. But he kept his voice calm and respectful. "We need your help," he said. "Our people are being murdered by those who think they rule the galaxy. We're willing to pay any price to save them." The ancient intelligence was quiet. For a long moment, when it spoke again, the voice was filled with something like amusement. Price? What price could small ones pay to beings who have existed since time began? "We'll become whatever you need us to become," Captain Oh Dong-wook replied. "Servants, soldiers, slaves, anything. Just help us save our families." The intelligence seemed to consider this. Through Navigator Bae Ji-hoon's mouth, it spoke of things that had happened when the universe was young. Wars between species that had transcended physical existence, civilizations that had learned to reshape reality itself. "Your species interests us," it finally said. "Most who come here seek power for conquest. You seek power for protection. This is rare." Dr. Yoon Hana realized what was happening. This wasn't just a collection mission anymore. They were being tested by beings older than stars. "We could grant you the power you seek," the intelligence continued. "Make your ship invincible. Make your weapons unstoppable. But such gifts change those who receive them. You would no longer be as you are." "What would we become?" Captain Oh Dong-wook asked. "Something greater, something less, something different. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Your ship is dying." It was true. The Blackstar was coming apart around them. Hull plates were peeling away like flower petals. The bridge temperature had reached 80 degrees Celsius. Several crew members had already collapsed from heat stroke. Captain Oh Dong-wook looked at his dying crew. These people had followed him into the heart of a star because they trusted him. Now he had to make a choice that would affect not just them, but all of humanity. "If we accept your gift, will we still be human enough to care about protecting innocent people?" "Yes," the intelligence replied. "That part of you will remain. It is what makes you worthy. Then we accept." The exotic matter began to flow toward the Blackstar like liquid starlight. It passed through the ship's hull as if the metal wasn't there and began to merge with the quantum drive core. Navigator Bae Ji-hoon screamed as the ancient intelligence departed his mind. Dr. Yoon Ha-na watched in amazement as the ship's damaged. Quantum matrix began to rebuild itself with materials that shouldn't exist in normal space. But something else was happening, too. The crew was changing, not physically but mentally. They could feel the quantum fields around them like a sixth sense. They could perceive dimensions that had no names. "Sir," said Commander Lim Soo-young in a voice filled with wonder, "I can see the entire galaxy. Every star, every planet, every ship. It's all connected." Chief Engineer Ko Hyun-soo looked at his instruments with new understanding. "The quantum drive isn't just fixed, it's evolved. We can do things that physics says are impossible." Captain Oh Dong-wook felt the change in himself, too. He could sense the Dominion fleet around Earth like pinpricks of malice in the darkness. He could feel the terror of the civilians waiting to die. "Take us home," he ordered. The Blackstar rose from the heart of Betelgeuse like a phoenix reborn from flame. But it was no longer just a ship. It was something new, something that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As they emerged from the star, the ship was surrounded by a field of pure energy that made space itself bend and twist. They had become something beyond normal. Physics, beyond normal understanding. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from Earth," reported the communications officer. "The final attack has begun." Captain Oh Dong-wook smiled, but it wasn't entirely human anymore. "Then let's show the Dominion what it means to threaten a species that has stolen fire from the gods." The Blackstar vanished from normal space, traveling Faster than light, faster than thought, racing to save a world that was a... Captain O. Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the transformed Blackstar and felt the universe spread out around him like a vast web of light. He could sense every star, every planet, every ship within 1,000 light years. The ancient intelligence had kept its promise, but the price was higher than he had expected. He was still human, but he was also something more, something that existed in multiple dimensions at once. His crew had been changed, too, their minds expanded to perceive realities that normal humans couldn't imagine. "Sir, we're approaching Earth," reported Navigator Bae Ji-hoon. His voice was calm, but his eyes now held depths that seemed to contain entire galaxies. "What's the situation?" Captain O. Dong-wook asked. Commander Lim Soo-young consulted instruments that no longer made complete sense to normal physics. "The Dominion fleet has Earth surrounded. 36 planet killers in firing position. They're charging their main weapons. How long do we have?" "Minutes, maybe less." Through the quantum field, Captain O. Dong-wook could feel the terror of 3 billion humans on the planet below. Children hiding in shelters, parents holding their families close, old people who remembered when humanity first reached the stars, now watching those same stars prepare to end them. "Take us in," he ordered. The Blackstar emerged from quantum space directly between the Dominion fleet and Earth. But it no longer looked like the ship that had entered Betelgeuse. It was surrounded by fields of energy that made space itself ripple, like water. Stars seemed to bend around it, as if reality was becoming flexible. Admiral Thexmore, commanding the Dominion fleet from his flagship, stared at the impossible sight. His sensors couldn't get a clear reading on the human vessel. It seemed to exist in several places at once. "All ships, target the human vessel," he ordered. "Fire everything." 847 Dominion ships opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams and missiles filled space with deadly light. Enough firepower to crack moons struck the Blackstar from every direction. The weapons passed through empty space. Captain O. Dong-wook had phased the ship between dimensions at the exact moment of impact. The Dominion weapons struck nothing while the Blackstar prepared to demonstrate what it had become. "Sir, weapons are ready," reported the tactical officer. But the weapons were no longer the guns they had carried before. They were something new, something that drew power from the quantum field itself. "Target the planet killers," Captain O. Dong-wook ordered. "Show them what happens when gods get angry." The Blackstar didn't fire weapons in any normal sense. Instead, it reached through dimensional space and simply erased the planet killer ships from existence, not destroyed them, not vaporized them, but translated them into mathematical equations and scattered them across 11 dimensions. 36 massive warships, each one capable of cracking planets, simply ceased to exist. The Dominion Fleet Command. Channel erupted in panic. "What kind of weapon is that? Our ships are just vanishing. How do you fight something that exists in multiple dimensions?" Admiral Thexmore tried to maintain order, but his own ship was shaking as the crew panicked. In 1,000 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance," he ordered. "Deploy quantum scramblers and phase anchors." The Dominion's most advanced technology activated around Earth. Devices designed to lock enemy ships in normal space, to prevent phasing between dimensions. They had worked against the old Blackstar. They had no effect on what the Blackstar had become. Captain O. Dong-wook felt the quantum scramblers trying to lock his ship into normal space. The sensation was like someone trying to grab smoke with their bare hands. The Blackstar existed in too many dimensions for normal technology to affect. "Sir, they're trying to use phase anchors," reported Commander Lim Soo-young. "Let them try," Captain O. Dong-wook replied. "We're beyond their understanding now." The Blackstar began to move through the Dominion fleet like a shark through a school of fish. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries found themselves helpless against an enemy that could strike from dimensions they couldn't even perceive. Dreadnoughts simply vanished as the Blackstar reached through space and scattered their atoms across multiple realities. Battle cruisers found themselves cut in half by weapons that materialized inside their hulls. Escort ships were translated into pure energy and dispersed into the quantum field. Admiral Thexmore realized that his fleet was being destroyed by something beyond conventional warfare. This wasn't a battle anymore. It was a demonstration of power that made the Dominion look like children playing with toys. "All ships, stand down," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Ceasefire immediately." "Sir?" asked his tactical officer. "We surrender," Admiral Thexmore said. The words tasted like ash in his mouth, but they were the only words that might save his remaining ships. Captain O Dong-wook heard the surrender and paused in his attack. Half the Dominion fleet was already gone, simply erased from existence. The remaining ships hung in space like broken toys. "This is Captain O Dong-wook of the USS Blackstar," he broadcast to the fleet. "You came here to commit genocide. Instead, you've learned that humanity is no longer prey. Dr. Yoon Ha-na, transformed by her exposure to the exotic matter, could now perceive the quantum structure of the ship around her. The Blackstar had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a vessel that existed in multiple dimensions while remaining fundamentally human in purpose. "Sir, we're receiving communications from across the galaxy," she reported. "Every species is watching what happened here. The news is spreading faster than light." Captain O Dong-wook nodded. The Dominion's defeat would be known throughout civilized space within hours. 3 centuries of alien supremacy had ended in a single battle. "What about the other human colonies?" he asked. "The Dominion fleets attacking them are standing down," Commander Lim Soo-young reported. "They're afraid to fight us." Captain Lee Tae-min, whose battered defense fleet had been preparing for a suicide attack on the planet killers, watched in amazement as the Dominion ships simply disappeared. His communications officer was trying to make sense of the sensor. "Readings. Sir, I'm not sure how to report this," the officer said. "The enemy ships didn't explode. They just stopped existing." "And the Blackstar?" "It's there, but also not there. The sensors can't get a lock on it. It's like it exists in several different realities at once." Captain Lee Tae-min smiled for the first time in months. "Signal all human ships. The war is over. We won. Back on." Nexus Prime, the surviving members of the Dominion Council, were trying to understand what had happened. Their greatest fleet had been destroyed by a single human ship that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "How is this possible?" demanded High Mind Velnara. "Our psychics saw nothing. No warnings, no visions of defeat." "Because they evolved beyond our ability to perceive them," said Overlord Thexmore over the communication channel from his damaged flagship. "They've become something new, something that exists between dimensions." The Zathari collective mind was in chaos. For the first time in their species' history, their psychic abilities had failed them completely. They could not read the thoughts of beings who existed in quantum space. 6 months later, the Galactic Assembly met for the first time in 300 years. Representatives from every species in known space gathered to discuss the new reality. Humanity had gone from oppressed colony species to the galaxy's most powerful force in a single day. Captain O Dong-wook, now promoted to Admiral, addressed the assembly. He still looked human, but there was something in his eyes that spoke of vast spaces between stars. "The Dominion era is over," he said. "Not because we conquered you, but because we proved that any species can transcend its limitations if pushed far enough." The Vorthak representative, Admiral Thexmore, rose to speak. His pride was broken, but he had learned respect for the species he had tried to destroy. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "Nothing," Admiral O Dong-wook replied. "We didn't seek power over others. We sought the power to protect ourselves. That's all we've ever wanted." Dr. Yoon Ha-na, now Director of Advanced Sciences for the New Human Coalition, stood to address the assembly. "We're willing to share certain technologies with any species that commits to peaceful coexistence," she said. "The quantum displacement drive, defensive shields, medical advances, not weapons, but tools for building a better galaxy." The assembly erupted in surprised murmurs. The humans had become powerful enough to dominate the entire galaxy, but they were offering to share their advantages instead. Captain Lee Tae-min, now Director of the Human Defense Corps, explained their philosophy. "Power shared is power strengthened," he said. "We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to make sure nobody can rule it through fear and violence." The new Galactic Assembly was established with representatives from every species, no matter how small or technologically advanced. The old Dominion hierarchy was replaced with a system where every voice mattered. Admiral Park Seo-jin's sacrifice was not forgotten. Her name was carved into the memorial wall on Earth, along with all the humans who had died fighting for freedom. Her intelligence reports had made the difference between victory and genocide. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Oh Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the Blackstar, now the flagship of the Human Defense Fleet. The